StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन।
You'll be comfortable in both Hindi and English?
Sir, I can understand and speak in Hindi, but
Okay.
I'll be using a mixture of
Perfect.
language.
Perfect. Okay. Let's begin then.
Okay.
Welcome to StudyIQ. Friends, today I have with myself another topper from UPSC 2025 mains results, VishnuPriya ji. Firstly, many congratulations, VishnuPriya ji, for joining us and for clearing this examination, and thank you for joining us here on StudyIQ.
Thank you, sir.
सबसे पहले मैम आप ये बताएं कि जब रिजल्ट्स आया था, it's been a couple of days since the results have come. What was the feeling like when you saw your name in that holy PDF? Where were you? Who broke the news to you? Because I think that is one of the most special moments of any UPSC aspirant. So let's just walk through those moments first.
Sir, I was having lunch. I did not know that the results are out. I was expecting the results to come by some 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. I don't know why. I was expecting in the evening, but the results came early. I think by 2 p.m. They were out. I was having my lunch. I didn't know, but I was just checking my WhatsApp and कुछ बहुत सारे congratulations के messages आए थे. And I was sure that I was in the rank list. I was in the PDF. So that was my greatest fear, that what if my name is not there? But I knew that I am there. So after that, I checked my rank and it was 149. So I felt very grateful, very grounded actually. My parents were there. They were all very proud.
Yes.
So I finally thought that, okay, the effort paid.
Rightly so. In fact, it's one of the greatest achievements any student or any civil service aspirants can hope for. And that too, you have a rank in the first 150. It's a great achievement in itself. But जो सबसे अहम प्रश्न है, and I've asked this to all the toppers that we have spoken to so far, कि वो feeling क्या था? Was it a feeling of happiness or more a feeling of relief that, okay, thank God we are out of this process finally?
Sir, actually, it was, I wouldn't say that it was both for me. I was very, I didn't feel anything. It was very neutral because I feel like जब आप इतना मतलब प्रयास करते हैं, बहुत एफर्ट डाल के कुछ करते हैं, and for me it has been 4 years, 4 साल से I've been behind the prep. And somewhere it gives you a confidence कि even if it's without the exam, I will do what I have to do in life. So
Right.
I was not, it was not like, I did not consider it a holy PDF. I have never seen it like that. Because I feel like UPSC is a great platform to impact the society that we live in, to actualize the vision that we have for our country. But it is just one of a platform.
Right.
So I always had that groundedness. There are many ways in which the youth can impact. And if not this, I will do something else. So, isliye I did not feel any euphoria so to say. But like you very rightly pointed out, it's a relief that you are finally out of the cycle. That I have a job. There is financial independence. I'm in a position where I can, impact people. So that was there. It was genuine happiness that I felt at that point.
Right. But let me just put it out there. Since you have attempts left, are you considering going for it again? Rank improvement karna hai, even though civil service has come up with new rules this year, but that would not dissuade you. Am I correct in assessment?
Yes. My first priority was the foreign service.
Right.
So I think that the 149 is a bit of a borderline mark. As far as I've talked to many people about this. So there is a fair probability of getting it, but there is also a probability of not getting it. So if possible, I want to reappear the exam and improve my marks. But then I want to speak to a lot of people also other than that. So I've not really concluded a decision on that yet.
Sure, absolutely. You speak about youth bringing a change in the country. You being a young person yourself who's going to be a part of the steel frame of the country. कुछ ऐसे प्रॉब्लम एरियाज आपने आइडेंटिफाई किए हैं या कुछ मन में ऐसा कोई गोल हो which you would like to particularly bring about a change in the system or some systemic reform that you would hope for or aspire for or target?
Definitely, sir. There are many that come to mind. Ek to what I felt, you talked about youth.
Yes.
So what I feel like is the youth today, the advantage that we have is that information is very readily available. And that's also one of the biggest challenges that the youth face today. कि क्या लेना है, क्या trust करना है, what is the right news, what is the fake news. हमने बहुत बार देखा है कि even when the news, sometimes when news come in, some videos from 10 years back are put in that, and they claim that it is this year's.
Huh.
So it is important that you have a contextual understanding of the society and the world that you live in, where you can guess, is this the right information? Should I believe it? Should I share it? Should I forward it? So that responsibility has to be developed in the youth. That's one thing that I feel is very important today. So
True.
secondly, I would want to talk about women empowerment. क्योंकि I've been very fortunate that I come from a family background where my parents always supported me to do whatever I wanted to do in life. They never underplayed any ambition of mine or any dream of mine. They always gave me the leeway, the space in order to try out something very difficult. But not everyone has that kind of a family background. Not everyone enjoys that kind of a liberty, a privilege in order to fail. So, and that's one big problem in the education system also, where we equate ranks with one's self-respect, or how much the value a person should give to themselves
True.
should come from their results or rank or academics. So
Hmm.
that's a very wrong trend. Everyone's their own person, and I feel like that the space in order to falter or to make mistakes must be given. That's one thing that I would really want to stress upon.
That's such a wonderful thought, Vishnupriya ji.
Thank you.
Talking about your attempts, आपने अभी mention किया that this was your fourth attempt?
And this was my third attempt, so.
Third attempt. So you have had previous attempts. One thing that all our students, especially जो हमारे freshers होते हैं, they would like to know is the mistakes that you did in the previous attempts, जो शायद आपने इस वाले attempt में नहीं किया. तो वो कौन से mistakes हैं जो civil service के students को या aspirants को avoid करना चाहिए, starting from say day zero?
Sir, I would just want to give a context that I gave my first prelims in 2023.
Okay.
And that year I lost the GS paper, the first paper by 6 marks.
Okay.
And in the second attempt, I was more prepared. Actually, my second attempt was my best prepared attempt, is what I believe. And I was quite confident when I walked in that I'll clear this time. But that time I lost it by 9. And both these years I cleared the CSAT. Because I come from a physics background, I think that math is not a big problem for me. So I could manage the CSAT papers well. On the third attempt, finally I cleared the GS. So the primary problem that I find was one, not sticking to the standard sources.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is a vast sense of information about what to read, how to read. So for me personally, I had gone through some magazines like Kurukshetra, Yojana, and Pratyogita Darpan, and Down to Earth magazine, based on some YouTube videos and some toppers talks. I'm not saying these magazines are bad. I'm saying these magazines are really good magazines. It's very good to read them. But then in the preparation, this is an exam. So you have to objectively approach the paper that there is specific sources, some 8 or 9 standard books, the NCRTs, and like we say, the polity, M. Lakshmikant, and such books are there. So if you read these books repeated times, like 9 or 10 times, then there is nothing like it. You don't need to go for any additional sources. In your free time, you can read magazines in order to get a better idea of the content. But sticking to standard sources is one thing that I will say.
Just talking about and continuing that conversation, Vishnupriya ji, what I've seen as in my limited experience as a student and as a faculty of the subjects that I teach, most of the students worry about current affairs without knowing about the say static part behind that current affairs.
Yes.
So are you suggesting कि सबसे पहले आप अपने core concepts, core किताबों को cover करें and then say build on that foundation with your current affairs? Is that the correct interpretation?
Definitely, sir. Definitely. I think that nothing can replace the standard books.
Right.
So if you can read the NCRTs 10 times, that's the best, I would say. And I would just give you a brief of all the sources that I followed.
Sure.
So for polity, it was just Lakshmikant. I have not referred any other book. And for history, for modern history, it was Spectrum. Spectrum is a must do if you are, especially if you do not have a history option. Then you have to follow the Spectrum and the NCRT, standard NCRT of medieval and modern. So that sometimes what I've seen is that there are images in the NCRT textbook, and under that there are some descriptions about the image, and from there questions are asked. I can give you examples. For example, if someone have attempted the 2023 paper, they would know that there was a question on Burhi Gandak. It is
Right.
a river. It's a Himalayan river that makes an
Right.
oxbow lake. It was given as Gandak in the paper, and it was a wrong option. It was a match the following, and many people were like, "Which is the Burhi Gandak river? We don't know." But it's in the NCRT. There's an image where there is the Burhi Gandak river
Budi
flowing,
Gandak.
and it is mentioned. Yes,
You're
and it is
talking about Kavartal in Bihar.
yes, yes, yes,
Huh.
yes, yes. And it is matched to the Munger Lake
Correct.
in Bihar. So it is mentioned very accurately in the NCRT, and I feel this especially for geography and history. So
Ji.
reading the standard books is very important. And like you said, sir, you read the newspaper, you know that what are the events that are currently in discussion. For example, there is the vaccine, and at the time of COVID, it was the vaccine. And at the
Right.
time of we know the global conflicts were happening at that time. So geography and the rift or the political scenario of those countries become very important.
Right.
We know
Right.
that AI is under discussion, space is under discussion. Then on this basic knowledge, you have to build your current affairs. That too, UPSC doesn't go into very depths of knowledge. You don't need to crack the rocket science behind these things. You just need to know the basic application, the most generic of information which is
Correct.
available online. So I think that not getting into depth is very important here.
Correct. One suggestion that we at StudyIQ often give to our students, ये हमेशा हम इस बात पे स्ट्रेस करते हैं कि अगर प्रीलिम्स क्लियर करना है तो सिर्फ से फॉर एग्जांपल यू कांट बी फोकस्ड ऑन जस्ट स्टडिंग, you have to build that exam temperament, and that can only be built through question solving.
Yeah.
So was there anything specific that VishnuPriya ji did to prepare her question solving ability when it came to prelims?
Sir, I would concisely speak it into three words, which is PYQs. There is no better source to crack prelims than the PYQs. So like you very rightly pointed out, prelims has a specific language that it uses. So, for example, if I've studied an entire, a chapter from politics, I've studied the president. It is not necessary that I can crack an exam in the UPSC, because they would ask something very different, or something from the recent presidential elections or trends observed about election of presidents. So important is that not to learn all the sentences in the book by heart, or just make a summary note of everything and then have everything by heart. You must understand the context, why there is no presidential system in India, and and that would definitely point to some other trends which comes from an overall reading of the book. For example, if I read this chapter, for me personally, I can never read the president before I read the parliament chapter.
Sure.
When I read the parliament chapter, I get the context of the entire parliament, and then if I read the president, I don't have to study all the powers of president by heart, because it only makes sense. Because parliament does this, president does not do this, or because when the parliament needs advice, it goes to president or accent. So so this entire thing must be understood in a context. So that, as you very rightly said, the context building is very important. So for that, PYQs are the greatest source, is what I believe.
Absolutely. In fact, just to summarize what VishnuPriya ji is saying, that students should basically aim to limit every concept in sort of a cause-effect relationship.
Yes.
That why something is happening, what is it leading to, what are the challenges, and say the way forward. If you are able to do this, that gives you a very good starting point to go ahead and say, prepare your entire syllabus in a manner in which the UPSC demands. Coming to the mains part of the syllabus, now VishnuPriya ji, एक प्रश्न जो हमेशा students के मन में रहता है कि क्या हम आंसर राइटिंग पहले दिन से शुरू करें, या once we have say completed 25% of the syllabus, then we go towards answer writing? Is there any say particular correct right moment when a student should look to begin that process, because that seems to be a major pain point for most of the students who go and write the mains examination?
Sir, I think it depends on person to person.
Sure.
So one thing that I would suggest that I did was, because I did not qualify the first 2 years of prelims, I had ample amount of time to prepare. So I had started off my mains preparation immediately when I started preparing. I had an integrated preparation model where I was simultaneously preparing for both mains and prelims. So by the time my third attempt, and in this attempt, when I started my mains answer writing, it was not the first time I was writing answers. I had already finished some 30 or 35 papers, so I had a fair idea about how to write the answers. Now, coming to what is the exact time, I feel like definitely before prelim, you must have had a clear idea about what is demanded out of you.
Right.
You might not be writing the best answer at that point. You don't need to stress upon giving the figures and facts and all the keywords that you've studied. You don't need to take that stress. But there is a basic outline that or a structure that a mains answer demands. For example, there are directive words. Understanding the directive words. For example, if it is a discuss or an examine, analyze, enumerate. So you must, before clearing prelims, you must know what these words demand out of you.
Right.
How you must split the question into multiple parts. If the question has 4 parts, what all are you supposed to discuss in those in the question? What are the diagrams that can come in? You must have an idea. You have to understand that you cannot learn all the points that you are going to write in the exam, because this is such a vast syllabus. You cannot have pinpoint data for every point that you're going to write in the paper. So you must be able to generate facts or points, or the facts that you already know, you must be able to tweak it in order to put it there in the paper. So you must develop these skills before your prelim. Now you can fine tune it after the prelims. That's what I would suggest.
Right. So did you employ any specific techniques? For example, you have the pestle technique, which is an often used technique when it comes to answer writing, where you figure out these political, economic, social, and so on and so forth, tangents of a particular concept. So was that one of the methods you applied?
Sir, I used something like the framework approach.
Okay.
So the framework approach was taught to me from the Lead IAS Academy, where I was taking my mains coaching. And there, what was focused is on, we used to generate frameworks. And like you said, the pestle, or some people call it spelt or something. So that is one of the framework. So the thing is that while reading a question, you do not immediately think of random points. Most of the times we know the point, we are not able to think of it in a structured manner. That is why we are not able to put it down in the paper in the given time. So what we used to do is we developed different frameworks. One of the frameworks was processes framework. So where if you are asked a question about mining, or why mining contributes to very less GDP in our country, we look at mining as a process. So there are different processes in mining, right? And if you think about the processes, you can generate challenges in each of the stages of the process. So you don't need to think about random challenges. You can think of the process, and from each step in the process, you can generate your own challenges, or you can similarly for solutions. So one of the framework that I used extensively was the syllabus framework. Syllabus framework, how it goes is, you take an NCRT, you look at the syllabus. So for example, if I take, there's a geography book. So we know there is a chapter on temperature, there is a chapter on wind systems, pressure, and say ocean currents. So when I'm getting a question on a random rift valley in Africa, which I have no clue about, and they are asking me what all will affect the rift. So I know the syllabus. I know the syllabus of the NCRT. Now I know that climatic factors affect everything. Climate affects everything around it. So now it is my ability that how can I put connect temperature, which is the first chapter, to the Rift Valley, or I can connect ocean currents into this, or how can I connect planetary winds, equatorial location, latitude into the Rift Valley. So this is what I'm saying, that if you know the basic framework, you can approach and generate points easily without knowing the exact points of what is being asked.
That's a wonderful method, and I'm sure those of our students who are watching this on the StudyIQ YouTube channel will immensely benefit out of this specific advice, because VishnuPriya ji, most of the time what happens is that the toppers come up with some generic suggestions which are useful nonetheless. But what a student needs to clear this examination is absolutely specific, targeted advice, and we must thank you on behalf of StudyIQ IAS for giving us those pointers. Now, coming up to your optional subject, you are an engineer by training, yet you took history optional, if I'm correct. So now, how did you go about firstly choosing your optional? What are the parameters on which a student must choose their optional? And what were the challenges that you faced in terms of the history optional syllabus coverage? Because many people say often that the syllabus is quite vast, it requires a lot of rote memorization. So how would you respond to that?
So I would firstly correct that I am a physics master
Yes.
postgraduate.
Right.
And yes, but rightly from the science background. So there were multiple considerations before selecting the option.
Huh.
Number one, in my case, was I prepared through self-study. I prepared from home. I did not take a foundational course. So for me, I had left the humanities subject 7 years back in school.
Right.
So for me, I had to build from scratch. I had to study all the subjects from scratch on my own, and I was confident I can do that. But at the same time, an optional paper is very important. It takes a lot
Ji.
of your time. It is the rank determining paper, to be very specific. So I was sure that if I'm studying physics, which was definitely my first choice, I had looked at physics syllabus.
Mhm.
But I also understood that I will have to dedicate 5 hours, even if it is my graduation subject. UPSC demands a specific kind of, specific set of questions, and based on the PYQs, there are specific areas of interest. So I would have to dedicate 5 or 6 hours daily for my optional, even if I take physics. And in the rest of the remaining time, I will have to figure out all the GS humanities subjects on my own, which was impractical for me.
Right.
So I wanted a subject which directly gives me maximum benefit in maximum papers.
Yeah.
And so history came as a natural choice for me because I was very sad leaving history behind in school. I always liked the subject.
Mm.
And when I did the analysis, history gives you multiple advantages. For example, in essay paper, you can quote history examples.
Right.
In GS1, definitely history is there. In
Sure.
optional paper 1 and 2, in ethics paper, history is a game changer because there are many examples from history that you can quote in your ethics answer.
Right.
So all these 6 subjects are definitely the prelims paper. The prelims paper, you don't need to study it separately if it's your optional.
Right.
So for me, it was like one bullet and 7 birds down. So history was that. So that was one of the considerations. Then
Mhm.
it was also the guidance and the coaching. If I ever needed guidance, I wanted the material to be readily available. I wanted the test series. I
Mhm.
wanted the support of a coaching ecosystem if need arises in future. So that is
Right.
also which was not readily available for physics in the
Huh.
UPSC sphere. So that's also one consideration that I took for history, and definitely the interest.
And did you face any challenges with history optional that you overcame eventually?
So one was definitely the vastness of the syllabus. It is a
Right.
very lengthy. I think the syllabus itself runs 7 pages. So to concise, to make notes out of it, and to
Ji.
to summarize it into what is necessarily to be presented in the exam, it was a tough decision. But I was preparing with my sister also, so we both sat down and we made our own handwritten notes for history. So, sir, I wouldn't say it was tough for me because I liked the subject. I didn't find it as a burden. It was
Right.
always a great learning experience to study history. But yes, sir, it was tough that it took a lot of time to in order to make the notes. I think I had the entire history syllabus in two notebooks, two king size notebooks. By
Okay.
the end, after 3 rounds of note making, because I had one set of notes which I compiled into 8 notebooks, and then I again compiled it into 2 notebooks by
Okay.
the time I wrote mains. So that was really tough.
ओके श्योर बिकॉज नोट मेकिंग अगेन इज द फंडामेंटल बेसिस मतलब अगर
Yes,
कल कोई कैंडिडेट जा रहे हैं एग्जाम लिखने के लिए तो दे नीड दोज कंपाइल नोट्स so as to revise it multiple times and
yes,
then
yes,
only then you can reproduce it in the paper.
yes,
That's an
sir.
excellent suggestion. Talking about your interview experience, let us know who was the interview board firstly. How did you prepare for the interview? Because again, body language check हो रहा है आपका, communication skills check हो रहे हैं, and then that opinion based say answers that you have to present in front of the interview board. Now that's another skill that you have to develop. And most of us struggle with having a good answer, an officer like answer to those opinion based questions. So, how did you prepare for that stage of the examination?
So firstly, my interview was on 16th of January, and I got Sujata Chaturvedi ma'am's board.
Okay.
It was a very unique and good experience for me. So regarding the preparation, it was the best phase, I think, out of the 3 phases because there is a lot of scope to reflect on oneself, one's journey, and understanding where I come from. So for
Mhm.
me, communication was never a problem because I grew up being very active on stage. So I used to be part of extempo and debate. So I never found communication per se hard. So I had a confidence that I can do it. But like you very rightly pointed out, there is a specific kind of speaking, an officer-like speaking that is required in the interview, and it's not a normal extempore that you do there, right? So there is a very limited amount of time, uh, and a very specific question that is asked to you, and within the first one sentence you have to form an opinion, and you have to give it what they want in a bullet format. So that is definitely challenge. So for me, I personally feel like there was a lot of problem with respect to forming opinion, and what opinion has to be given, what is a neutral opinion, because most of us what we do is we give one side of the argument, we give the other side, and then we hold a neutral ground. Sometimes that comes out as indecisiveness, that you don't have an opinion. So I struggled with this a lot. But then eventually I took a lot of one-on-ones. I feel like panel mocks must come only at the very end. When you are completely prepared, you must be able to completely be in uh, or a comfort with yourself. You're hearing your voice, looking at yourself speak in the mirror, uh, do a lot of one-on-ones, and only then at the final stage you must go for panel mocks. So what I understood was that I don't have to give the politically correct answer. If when I'm asked a question, I should not think what would be the answer they are expecting. That's a very wrong approach to answer. The right way that I feel worked for me is that what do I believe is the answer? What is my answer? That is important. It's not what is the answer, it is what is my answer. Uh, Most of the time, if you say something that you believe in, you can easily approach the follow-ups. If they ask you any follow-up question or something, you can easily counter it because you believe so. So it is not that what is the right answer. They are not looking for that. You must have an answer that you believe in, and you must be able to justify it. So
Justified,
that
correct.
took away the pressure of giving the right opinion. So by the end, I was taking sides. I was taking sides, and in my actual interview, also I took sides.
I see.
And
And then justified it accordingly.
yes, and there was not even a problem regarding that. It never backfired, I believe.
दैट्स अ फैंटास्टिक सजेशन. काफी सारे स्टूडेंट्स को लगता है कि आपको एकदम मिडिल ग्राउंड लेके चलना है.
हाँ.
हियर इज अ यूपीएससी टॉपर टेलिंग यू यू हैव टू टेक अ साइड provided you're able to justify it in a logical
Yes.
manner.
Yes.
Perfect. Coming to the end of this very informative and enlightening discussion, I'm sure, for our students, VishnuPriya ji, is there any particular advice that you would like to offer to those students who are going to appear this year, 2026, in say another 70 to 75 days' time, and those who will be appearing next year? Is there something that they should absolutely keep in mind from a UPSC topper?
So there are multiple things. I feel like first one is be very confident in whatever preparation that you have done. That is necessary. If you have even when you know like you have not studied or completed the entire syllabus, you should only be thorough about what you know.
Right.
Trust that, believe in that, and appear in the exam with complete confidence. That's one thing. The next thing for people who are appearing next year, I would say that study the paper very well, because the PYQs are out there, PYQs are available. So the UPSC does demands very specific things from you at all the three stages. So understand the exam before taking any decision. What some of us do is that we take all the books and we start studying. Then
Right.
later we realize that some chapters are not even focused in the exam. There are some chapters that you can completely skip. So understand what the necessity, what are the areas of focus, what is being tested at each stage. It is very specific. If you want, you talk to people who have cleared it, talk to toppers, talk to mentors, and they would be able to guide you on what is demanded out of you very clearly and targetedly. Do it. Prepare only what is required. Do not go about reading all the newspapers and all the sources that are out there. These are the two things that I would want to say.
That's a wonderful those wonderful suggestions. I'm sure हमारे students को बहुत benefit होगा इस पूरे entire discussion के साथ. Vishnupriya ji, thank you firstly for joining us here on Study IQ, and our
Thank you,
best
thank you.
wishes to you on two counts. Firstly, we had the International Women's Day yesterday, so our best wishes for that. And secondly, our best wishes as you go forward in the service of this country in the next 30-35 year odd years, our Azadi Ka Amrit Kal as it is called. May you have a fulfilling time in the service of Mahabharat. Thank you once again, VishnuPriya ji,
Thank
for
you, sir.
joining us
Thank
here
you,
on
sir.
StudyIQ. And we hope to see you soon whenever we say meet in our felicitation events.
Sure,
Thank you
sir,
once again,
sure, sir.
VishnuPriya
Thank
ji.
you, sir. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thanks, ma'am.
StudyIQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन।